Hello, Western Ultimate League fans! We are here for the second day of a wild, wild weekend. We're here in Salt Lake City, Utah, and for this game we are watching the Colorado Alpenglow play the San Francisco Falcons. Alex, what can we expect to see in this game?
Well, yeah, on this beautiful morning here in Salt Lake City, it's about 55 degrees, clear, sunny, looks like calm conditions right now. We're looking to see San Francisco Falcons continue working on unique defensive sets, force middles, junks, and I'd love to see Colorado keep working the deep space and the vertical space, which they've been so effective in the last few games.
Yeah, and so I'm Leah Smith, and I'm here with Alex Palomino. We have some players to watch this weekend. Alex, do you want to go on for San Francisco Falcons?
Yeah, Schumacher.
So we're going to be talking about number 47, Gina Schumacher. She is a captain for the San Francisco Falcons. She seems to be a very solid hybrid for the Falcons, which I think she was utilized really well yesterday. Alex, what else do we know about Schumacher? I know that she is currently, she's about 5'7", which is a great height to be in Ultimate, and has really lived in California for most of her life. You can take a look at her season stats here. I would say she's a 95.5% completion record, as well as 35 offensive efficiency, which is a really great stat to see, and you definitely want to see in a hybrid player. She has pretty high usage, and I would say her goals and assists definitely don't necessarily reflect her impact on the field. And now we're going to move over to Colorado with Jade McLaughlin. Jade is actually from New Mexico. And Alex, do you want to talk a little bit about her playing?
Yeah, absolutely. Jade's a fellow Masters age player, throwing right-handed out of beautiful Albuquerque, New Mexico. So hopefully any playing experience she had in New Mexico would translate well up to this high altitude here in Salt Lake City. Jade's got 3 goals, averaging over 2 assists per game. 365 yards, which is huge utilization, with reliable throwing completion, offensive efficiency, and high usage. Let's look forward to seeing a lot from Jade today.
Yeah, I think Jade is one of those players who they have on O-line, but definitely pull over to D-line in those tight situations. Whenever there's a timeout called by Colorado, McLaughlin will definitely be put on to the field.
Yeah, and in the WUL, with such a short stall count, there's a lot to be asked for all players. There isn't the time for people to sit back as either handlers or cutters. Everyone's kind of doing both at all times.
Yeah, and so we're about to start with the first pull of the game. Colorado won the flip and chose to be on defense. I think an important player to look at out there is Veldman. She's about to start with the pull, and she's able to generate multiple blocks a game. She's a high-use defensive player with big, big plays that bring a lot of hype and energy to the team. If you look over at San Francisco, it looks like they have a pretty traditional line out there for the O-line. We have Schumacher out there, as we talked about earlier, as well as Hernandez-Flowerman, Amy Broom, and a few other just high-use players that we'll talk about more throughout the rest of this game. All right, and the pull goes up. As Alex said, the weather's great here today, much warmer and definitely less wind. We have the Falcons looking more in a traditional H stack, and we have Broom over to Chang, back to Broom.
Beautiful Oyo there, getting to the break space in the center of the field. Veldman picks up her first defensive stat of the game. Kind of a gimme, but you love it.
Still counts. So we have Daniels over to McKee. Over to, let's see, we have Boyd.
Love to see Colorado moving the disc quickly left to right across the field.
Looks like there was a call on the field. I believe it was maybe a pick on that handler movement. Looks like Chang is calling it on Beetle Mawcroft. With that quick handler movement, it can definitely provide opportunities for picks, unfortunately.
Yep.
So Chang is catching up, but the disc stays with Beetle Mawcroft. I'm assuming we're going to see Alpenglow move into a vert stack that they ran very effectively against LA Astra.
Oh, nice foot.
Chang with an effective mark right there. Oh, just too fast of a throw. But now we have the Falcons back. A big put by Pugh. A little too big. Might be getting used to the altitude here still.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth, a lot of energy here early in the game. It can, I think, in this first point of any game, you kind of need to feel out where you are and where your opponents are.
Looks like Beetle Mawcroft is picking up, and the Alpenglow is setting up in more of a side stack situation with Brock and Daniel as ISO cutters. A bobble by Brock there, yet again, just too spicy of a throw. Falcons are going into a Burt stack with Pugh picking up and Chang back with her. Over to Chang.
Great defense by Colorado here. Really shutting down the easy swings and the easy insides.
We have Sally Mims. Back to Chang. Oh, and just too long of a throw to Mims. Looks like both teams are having a little bit of a difficult time getting settled on offense. They're moving very quickly, but that also means the throws are happening a little too fast for them to effectively catch. We have McKee with a big around to Boyd, but it just falls flat. The disc is rolling into the Falcons' red zone. We have Pugh picking up.
Oh.
With just an easy inside to number 24, Hernandez Flowerman. Oh, it looks like there might have been a pick called. Hernandez Flowerman was very open, as well as it was a crowded space. So I think the discussion is if the defender didn't get picked off, if they had an effective play otherwise.
Yeah, I think it's partly the lines were a little slow to get organized, and this is a really long point.
Yeah, it's been a long point. Both teams also played yesterday, and I know Falcons had the late game, so they definitely had the least amount of time to recover here.
In a doozy of a game against the Utah
A very
Wild.
tight game, yes.
Yeah.
Looks like there's still a discussion happening.
Yeah, back to the throw.
Looks like
who had the throw? Right here.
Looks like the disc is going to go back to Pugh.
Big credit to our observers out here helping out for Wild Wild Weekend.
It's definitely not an easy job, and I also know most of them observed at the Lone Peak Invite the day before.
That's right, our big high school tournament.
We had a massive high school turnout last night, which was really great to see. See that Utah youth show up.
That's right.
There's a lot of
hand waving.
A lot of a nose, and it looks like the goal is called. All right. After a long discussion, the play stands. And
Goal by
Colorado
adjudication.
Definitely a momentum killer, but a goal is a goal.
Goal's a goal. I don't know how to feel about that from either team's perspective, but I think they'll be looking forward to kind of establish some good practice so they can kind of get in the rhythm with their teammates.
Yeah. So yeah, let's look at how this point kind of the summarization of this point, which was a lot of turns, and I think unfortunately most of them were just missed throws. And now we have Mims's goal to Hernandez Flowerman, which was just a beautiful throw.
Touch pass to space. I love it.
Yeah, I think Hernandez Flowerman was able to kind of take advantage of the chaos.
Yeah.
And we have the San Francisco, we have our first look at the Colorado O-line, as well as the San Francisco D-line. So we have Pesh going to Philly, over to McLaughlin, back to Philly, to Dietrich.
Look to see Aubrey Dietrich going deep a lot today.
Yeah, and Abby Thorpe is definitely a player who can make those really difficult grabs. She definitely creates a lot of movement and space for the Alpenglow. And I think Alpenglow's just really patiently working it through. They have those downfield looks under tight defensive pressure by the Falcons, but they're still able to make those grabs and operate with patience. We have Pesh with a beautiful outside-in flick to McLaughlin. I think that was some great vision, as well as Pesh is a lefty, and they were able to kind of take advantage of that force, I guess, backhand on the mark for righties.
Yeah, absolutely. Those away throws are very difficult, but they open up a lot of space if you can hit them efficiently.
And we saw Colorado doing that a lot yesterday, especially against the Astra zone. Yeah, that was just that beautiful vision. I think Pash is just she's a very effective thrower and will make your mark look a little silly. Um, she's a really fun handler to watch, and especially if you're a lefty, take notes.
Nobody likes looking silly out there.
Yeah, and so I think Colorado should be really pleased with that O point. It was effective, it was fast, it was patient, and I think they definitely trusted their receivers there. They had a lot of, Falcons was bringing a lot of defensive pressure with tight throws to Dietrich Thorpe.
Yep.
I think Dietrich again. And they were able to still kind of play their game and create space for themselves. So we have the pole. Looks like it's a different D-line for Alpenglow. It looks like they operate with one O-line and two different D-lines. We have Chang over to Broom.
Oh, looking
With
deep.
a big put by Hernandez Flowerman. And unfortunately, too big yet again. I think that was a great cut, and the momentum was there for that beautiful huck. The cutters just weren't.
Yeah, that disc got released hot.
We have Yang picking up for Alpenglow, and it looks like this D-line is setting up in a vert stack. We have Alex Daniels at the back as the initiating cutter, and it looks like Broom was kind of caught on her heels there, looking for that outlet, and unfortunately there was a miscommunication for Alpenglow. Looks like Daniels was looking for Yang, who was going to make that upline cut.
Yeah, it's really tricky when you have two handlers back.
Oh, Bash almost had that, but Chang was an incredible thrower with a lot of vision. I think she moved the disc really quickly, and Schumacher was able to reel that in. Yet again, I think Falcons is doing a great job kind of taking advantage of the Alpenglow defensive chaos. I think Alpenglow is having a bit of a struggle getting set in their defensive line when they're doing match.
I mean, when the throws are some sauce like that, I don't know if I would be too upset as a D-line.
Yeah, and I think D-lines, they got to get the turns, but also you need to make sure that you're making your passes catchable. So working on that chemistry there. But there's that beautiful, just high release. I think it was a backhand to Schumacher.
I wish. Man, we're into our next point.
Oh, it looks like there was a call.
Oh.
I'm assuming an offsides. But I don't see the signal for that very often, so.
Okay.
That looks like an offsides.
Well,
I'm assuming on D, since the O gets definitely a big advantage there. Looks like they're taking the disc to half field, and Alpenglow is setting up in that split stack again with Dietrich and Thorpe as initiating cutters. But Falcons is poaching off into that lane to make that side stack less effective. You have, number 2 was poaching off Philly, and Philly was able to get the disc because of it.
Pesh just asking for the disc.
Pesh to McLaughlin as Alpenglow is getting ready for their end zone sets. We have Pesh back to McLaughlin to a wide open read in that end zone.
The drop kick spike.
I think it's important to notice, that Colorado has had 2 clean holds, and we have not seen a clean hold from the Falcons O-line yet. Do you think it's due to offensive pressure or defensive pressure, or just offensive miscues, Alex?
So it seems like the Falcons are using their kind of junk looks. Let's come back and look at this
Pesh to
completion.
McLaughlin, just an easy backhand.
That's how you want to see it in the end zone every time with the kick spike. San Francisco's been throwing their junks, but Colorado's been very efficient and very field aware of finding those spaces to take advantage of the junk. And that's allowed them to run clean offenses that kind of look the way coaches like to see. Meanwhile, on the other side of the disc, it seems like Colorado's person defense has been tight enough that San Francisco's opportunities have been a little bit junkier, a little bit more in the margins.
And when I was watching the Colorado-Astra game yesterday, Astra also tried more of a flat mark on Alpenglow as well as a poachy look, and Alpenglow just ran them all the way around the field. So we have Schumacher with the disc for the Falcons to Chang. Oh, with Schumacher reaching for that disc. With a wide open, big throw to 33, Maru, who's able to reel that in. We have Pugh to Chang. To Mims.
Oh.
Oh. Just a miss there.
That's a tough one.
So yeah, we have Beetle Mawcroft over to McKee in the center field. To right. It was a really wide mark.
Looking deep.
To Brock. To Daniels. Daniels a little bit stranded there, looking for that stall 7 grab. McKee was able to grab it, but I think she may have gotten bumped and is calling the foul there. Looks like it's between McKee and Pugh in this discussion. Looks like, I think they're deciding to go to the observer. And looks like the disc is going back to Daniels. Oh, Mims is also giving, or yes, Mims is, or Broom is giving her perspective there too. All right. Yeah, let's take a look at this again. So it's a high stall throw. And I mean, I guess players at home, you can decide. Choose your own adventure whether that was a foul or not. I think McKee had possession and got bumped, but whether or not she stopped rotation of the disc is key. We have Reich with the disc.
Let's see if San Francisco can keep it on the trap sideline. Oh, good help defense.
Oh,
but Rory Veldman is huge.
That's Maddie Boyd.
Oh, thank you.
And that was incredible. I mean, it was, Maddie Boyd read that perfectly. She was able to get around the 2 Falcons defenders. One of them tried to box her out, and Boyd went around, which was really, like, good to see. I think that's really a heads-up play. Let's take another look. We have the disc go up. Yeah, and she takes a step back around Schumacher. And that is a hold.
Oh, yeah, another.
No, wait, that was a break. Yes, that's our first break of the game. And that was a clean hold, or clean offense by the Alpenglow defense. So, I mean,
Alpenglow's really showing their poise on both sides of the disc.
yeah, I think they're definitely getting a little bit chiller and trying to figure out where everyone is at today. Like I said, it's game 2 of the weekend. And people can get a little tired, which might be why we're seeing these overthrows. But now we have that second Alpenglow D-line out. I don't know if we've seen some major changes on the Falcons O-line. We still have Chang out there, back with Pugh. Over to Broom. And it still looks like Falcons is just running an H-stack. Whoa, a
Great
fantastic
layout.
grab by 42 win. I think almost every Falcons player has touched the disc at this point, which is exciting to see. We have Chang. Oh, with another layout by Sumida. Back to Pugh. With a beautiful inside backhand to win. Sumida, back to Pugh.
Falcons on the door. Let's see if they can get their first clean hold.
To
Yeah.
Chang. Over to Pugh.
Break side is a good indicator.
Oh, and Daniels able to make it so they can't make that grab. I think that was a great run by Daniels, and even though I don't know if she was able to get a hand on it, it meant that Wang couldn't make the catch. Not quite sure what happened.
Yeah, it looked like a ghosty from up here, but ghosty is a D.
Yeah, we have Yang. Oh, with just a drop by Murphy.
No one say disc don't lie. I hate that.
Oh, and I realized I mixed up Daniels and Yang. That was Yang with the help D. So we have Pugh back over to Sumida. We have Win on the doorstep with an, oh, it's spicy inside to Sumida. It was kind of split between Sumida and Broom, I believe.
Yeah, it's a tight throw, but those are the ones that the Falcons aren't really completing, and the Alpenglow are getting a little bit more of those tight throws in the hands.
And Larson tried to save the disc, but it was just out of her hands. We have Chang with a high release backhand to 29, Stepanitis.
There it is.
Over to 36, Wang. So I think that was a much cleaner O point for the Falcons, but I do think they were lacking a little bit of red zone patience.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Things got a little sketchy there in the last 10 yards. I mean, it's hard to score from there. There's no doubt.
That's why we run red zone during practice.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's take a look at this previous point. Oh, win with the layout. Oh, just a beautiful layout there. And then we have
Huge effort
Shane
all
to
over the
Samita.
Falcons to keep these discs alive.
Yes, you can tell they really want it. Oh, and it looks like Yang was able to get a hand on that disc. We have Stepanitis. Just leading pass to Wang. Oh, and we have our drop pull from
That's tough to see.
Philly.
As someone who jump catches pulls, I hate to see that.
So we have Chu picking up with an easy score to Munson.
Okay,
So
maybe that's a strategy for the Falcons. They get clean holds if they can get the Alpenglow to drop pulls.
first step, get them to drop the pull. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge bummer for the Alpenglow, but also it means, unfortunately, with the quick Falcons break, means that O-line can still get on the field and be fresh.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're hungry for it.
Yeah, now they're really ready to make up for it. So yeah, we can take another look at that pull and just, yeah, bounce off our hands. That is a bummer to see, and also why I don't catch pulls.
I hope that doesn't happen to me, but almost certainly it will if I play long enough.
It's a numbers game.
Oh, yeah, totally.
All right, we have Falcons with the pull. And it looks like it just fades out of bounds. We have Pesh picking up with Philly, standing back, and yep, they're set up in that split stack. While Falcons is working on pulling off, they pulled the front two defenders over. So we have 98 in the lane, and we have both handler Ds poaching off to prevent that hook. Alpenglow is able to get it to Thorpe on that sideline with a beautiful backhand
break.
inside to Philly.
But a good swoop kind of shuts down that continuation. I gotta say, there's huge amounts of frisbee IQ all over the place with these unique defensive sets and offensive sets and switches. It's really impressive.
Yeah, I think the Falcons also just has so much defensive efficiency.
I looked at the rosters. If you started playing frisbee after the age of 19 on either of these teams, you were an old head.
So it looks like there was a call on the field. We have Dietrich with the disc. I'm unsure if it was a pick.
Ball was in the air, so we're saying one.
It looks like a pick was called. Stall's going to come in with them saying 1, which is hugely important since the stall only goes to 7. And so we have Dietrich to Pesh with an inside to Philly.
Oh,
A great grab
snag.
by Ito with a score by Dietrich. That was a beautiful, just the insides and the throws by Alpenglow. It's like the mark is making an impact, but the throwers don't necessarily care. They say, okay, you're going to take away that around. I have the inside throw right there.
Yeah, just further demonstrating that Alpenglow are kind of locked in, executing tight throws, tight looks, and really making it look pretty clean, as challenging as the defense is.
Yeah, I think Falcons have done a great job with their quick switches, as well as their poaching in the lanes, but Colorado's been able to still find that space. So we can take a look at Dietrich's per game season stats, which she's averaging 1.5 goals and half an assist per game, with a completion rate of 92.6% and a 36% offensive efficiency. She's a high usage player who's definitely a big, deep threat for the team. We have Colorado getting ready to pull. There is 1:34 left on the board. So that means the clock stops for every call. We have Pew. Oh, and it looks like Colorado's in more of a poachy zone look, but they're still able to get it to lure.
Well, in these last 2 minutes, it can be a big difference maker if you can prevent a score on a last possession at the end of the quarter. So it's not uncommon for these WL teams to pull out zones to kind of slow down the offense.
That was a great layout by Lur to save the possession, but Veldman's there and is able to box out Schumacher for that huck.
That's where she lives.
Yep, just skying people. So we have Schumacher over to Reich, to Brock, to Thorpe. And it looks like, yeah, Colorado kind of did a mixed line here. Because they have Thorpe pulled over and McLaughlin for their, and Philly over for their D-line.
I like seeing these hucks.
Yeah, it looks like, so yeah, we have Schumacher. Ooh, just a missed throw to Hernandez Flowerman. Oh, and the timeout was called. It just depends on, it looks like Colorado called it. Unless there's a discussion about making sure the disc was in play.
We're good, timeout.
All right, we're good. It's a timeout. So we're going to see what changes Colorado and San Francisco make in the WL. You can swap all players out. You can swap some players out. You can keep your players in if you want. And I know Colorado does a pretty good job swapping players in and out. It looks like Falcons are going to try and keep a lot of the same personnel on the line. So having a quick discussion about what defense they're going to do, as well as kind of a refocus for both teams. It looks like, and so while we're doing this timeout, we're going to take a quick look at the standings. Alex, do you want to give us a breakdown?
Yeah, those of us on Twitter have seen kind of the flat circle that is all the teams sort of beating all the other teams but in reality, here's what we're looking at in the Northwest. A lot of the Tempest up in Seattle are leading the Northwest with a huge plus 23 point differential, and the Super Balloons sitting very comfortably atop the Southwest, which with a plus 39 point differential. For both of these teams that we're looking at here to make championship weekend, this is a must win. So only one of these two teams is going to make it to our June 3rd championship weekend?
June 3rd and 4th in Seattle. And I think it's also important to look at, so a lot of the standing situations are kind of operating under the assumption that Astra will lose to Super Bloom. As you saw the point differential from the Super Blooms, they've already locked in their championship weekend bid, but if Ale is able to pull that out, then I think it throws the whole Southwest into chaos, which I personally love. It looks like a second ago we had 2 seconds on the clock. I'm not quite sure how much time we have left.
Clarification from the booth. It looks like that was the end of the first quarter.
Looks
that
like
timeout
Colorado
did not make it.
It was the end of the quarter. So they got a little bit of bonus time on that quarter. In the quarter break, so a little bit more time for the teams to talk. But yeah, Alex, what have you seen so far? What have you liked? What have you not liked?
I've been, like I keep saying, I've been really impressed with the throws. I would love to see more hucks. I mean, if Rory Veldman's back there, good luck, but I like extending the fields, and that's the end of the first quarter for us.
Yeah, so we'll see you in a second.
Own a Utah vacation rental? Vacasa is your ultimate partner. Head to vacasa.com to see how Vacasa keeps your vacation home booked, cared for, and earning to its highest potential. We are thrilled to announce the official brewery of Utah Wild for 2023, Bewilder Brewing. You can find us celebrating every Utah Wild game this year at this local brew pub. Their huge projector screen, great food menu, and award-winning beer make this a great home for our watch parties and after parties. Be wilder and head out over to Bewilder Brewing right after this game for Wild's official after party. This venue is 21+. We'd like to highlight one of Utah Wild's sponsors, Strive and Uplift. Strive and Uplift provides lifting and running programming to Wild athletes. Through their values of accessibility, support, growth, and service, Strive and Uplift is passionate about providing high-quality movement education and sports performance guidance in a supportive environment. Through cultivating community spaces for movement and connection, Strive and Uplift helps individuals of all abilities discover how to move confidently in their bodies. To learn more, visit striveanduplift.com. A huge thank you for being a sponsor of the Utah Wild. We'd like to shout out 3 of Utah Wild's sponsors, Short One at Physical Midvale, Handy and Handy Attorneys at Law, and We Win Injury Law. Their support of women and non-binary athletes helps make this season possible. For more information on these organizations, visit www.
We're back with the San Francisco Falcons pulling to Colorado Alpenglow. This is the start of the second quarter, and we've seen a pretty evenly matched game so far. It's currently tied up at 4s, with Colorado, I would say, bringing a little bit more offensive cleanliness, but San Francisco bringing a lot of grit to the game.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's still tied. You know, we've been saying a lot of good things about Alpenglow's ability to execute, but that's not really shown on the scoreboard. So all the credit to San Francisco for grinding here.
I also think it's interesting to point out that Colorado's been traditionally running a split stack for their O-line start, but this time they started in a vert stack. I think maybe they adjusted to the Falcons' poach defense. That was a very clean, beautiful textbook vert stack point by Alpenglow. Kristen Reed celebrating.
That throw from Aubrey Dietrich. A lot of trust there because Aubrey had to throw around a big mark to a closing space. She trusts her teammate to go out and get that.
I think you can really see the chemistry built on this team at this point. Yep, Dietrich with just a beautiful flick. I didn't realize that Aubrey was a lefty. But yeah, I think that is a pretty great example of what we've been seeing this game. It's Alpenglow running these very clean O points. I think Falcons have been only able to generate one break, and that has been off of a dropped pole, I believe. But yeah, we can take a look at Kristen Reed's stats. Per game, she's generating 2.2 goals, as well as at least over a half assist.
Yeah.
And she is one of those players who's just always, they're always looking for her in the end zone. We have Veldman with the pole. Chang to Pugh. And Colorado's in that poach set.
Yeah, and Falcons are out with their classic horizontal set, so
And
I don't know if I would think about doing something different if I were the Falcons, but let's
great
see.
snag by Chang. But yeah, it looks like just Colorado's in that poach set for a single throw, and then they go into a very tight person. We have a big throw up with some jostling between Boyd and Hernandez-Flowerman, and Boyd's able to get that D.
Great footwork by both of those athletes to kind of find the disc, find the person, and find the disc.
Oh, that was Reich instead of Boyd. I'm very tired, everybody. We have McKee picking up, trapped on that sideline with an inside over to Boyd. Into traffic with a D by Schumacher to a laying out Mims. Back to Schumacher with an interesting look to Broom, who unfortunately,
My jaw's on the floor.
yeah. She had a great play on the disc, and it looks like there might be a bit of a discussion there. But I think most of the contact happened after the play.
No call, 20 seconds.
And Yang is picking up.
Yeah, let's take a look at these dream throws, as I like to call them. Oof, gravity.
Ooh, she was able to potentially catch that disc. I think she got a little tripped up trying to find it in the air.
Yeah.
All right, we have McKee to Daniels, who tries, and unfortunately just out of her reach.
Okay, and I mean, this is a Falcons O-line, right? So anything Alpenglow can do to kind of give them trouble is a win for the Alpenglow, especially on this last game for these teams of a long weekend.
All right, so we have Mims on the sideline, looking pretty similar to what we saw before with an upline floaty throw. And this time, number 33, Maru, was able to reel it in. I don't think it's necessarily the offense Falcons really want to run, but they did score, which is worth something.
Yeah, I love those flat floaty throws. It always makes you kind of bite your fingernails, but if you can convert, get after it.
Yeah, we can see that crossfield over the defender. Maru's able to reel that in. It looks like it was over Brock. And yeah, I think that was, great vision from the Falcons. They were able to kind of recognize that Maru was open and was able to make that grab. It was just probably a little floatier than they wanted. Or just floaty enough. We have Falcons pulling. We have Pesh picking up, not able to get that to Philly. With a low throw to Ito. To Philly.
Okay, so the Falcons are now running a little zone.
Looks like a 2-1-1-ish. So trying to kind of contain the mark as much as possible and prevent those deep looks.
It's not too windy out here, so I'll be curious to see if the Falcons kind of stay in it all the way down, or if they're just using this to slow down, to kind of disrupt Colorado a little bit.
And it looks like Colorado is unfazed, able to throw a blade to McLaughlin. To Pesh and Colorado, or Falcons have collapsed into a person, but with an easy OI to Dietrich.
Lefty to lefty.
Yeah, I think Falcons is having a really difficult time trying to contain Pesh.
Yeah.
Pesh is she has all the throws in the book, and while the zone took Colorado a minute to figure out, they were able to break it pretty easily. But I liked seeing the zone look from San Francisco. I think they recognized that they needed to make a change to stop these clean holds, and while this wasn't necessarily the outcome that they wanted, they were able to make Colorado think a little bit more during their offensive points.
Yeah, zone defense especially is a process-driven operation, and so I hope the Falcons take some good things away from that coming out on their next deep point.
Yeah, and it looks like Alpenglow is putting out a pretty traditional D-line. This is their second D-line, which includes Wei, Yang, Lavoie, Larson, Mimak, Murphy, and Bash. And yeah, for the Falcons O-line, we still see Chang out there, Pugh, Broom. And it looks, yeah, Falcons is still in that horizontal stack with a cross-field look to Schumacher.
Good rhythm.
Chang in that power position, but Murphy, was able to get, Hernandez-Flowerman was able to get that over Murphy. Murphy jumped a little bit too early and kind of recognized that a second too late. But we got a clean hold from the Falcons. Which I know that they love to see. And it looked like Colorado didn't set up in that poach set initially, and Falcons moved faster off of that pole.
Yeah, was that the first clean hold for the Falcons?
It feels like it.
Feels like it. And boy, was it clean.
Yes, Chang in that power position saw Hernandez-Flowerman and was just kind of able to air that out to space.
Yeah, put some direction on the hook to make it even more challenging for the defender.
And Midi Chang is just a phenomenal thrower. I don't think we've necessarily been able to see her arsenal of throws this game. She's definitely someone who should not be discounted. Colorado setting up in that split stack. We have Pesh to McLaughlin, back to Pesh. San Francisco's in a match defense. Thorpe in the center of the field to a wide open under Dietrich to McLaughlin. Back to Dietrich. To Thorpe.
Really nice patience
Dietrich
here
just
by
really,
Colorado.
knocking on that end zone door. To Pesh. With a beautiful throw to Reed. I think
It's hard to mark lefties, let's be real. It's challenging.
it is hard, and every time I mark a lefty and I see them, I'm like, did I mess up the force? But yeah, I don't think they have a great solution for Pesh right now. And I mean, Colorado has incredible discipline in their vert stack. We don't see a lot of people cutting each other off. And if looking at Pesh, she's just their go-to handler. She's always there as an outlet. So yeah, we see that lefty just beautiful. That's the first one to McLaughlin. That basically exact same throw. Well, that's the same play. But yeah, I think Pesh is just able to throw wherever she wants, however she wants. Yes, and a beautiful OI to Dietrich. Yeah, they just haven't been able to stop that throw, and Colorado is cutting for her in that. They're able to recognize, like, hey, I know Pesh is going to put this right here for me. And most of the time, the Falcons' defense, they aren't necessarily marking the stack very well. So we have a center to Chang. Over to Broom.
Kind of a different look from the Falcons. Oh,
Oh,
it's a pick.
it might be a pick. That might be why. Yeah, it looks like Alpenglow's a little bit pulled off their matches, but otherwise it looks like they're in a mostly matched defense.
Freestyle.
So we
4,
have Broom.
3, 2,
Oh,
1.
that's a violation. So in the WL, we have a 4-second pre-stall after picks and some other calls. But the rule is the person with the disc cannot move, and you cannot fake. You cannot say, like, you can't nod your head around. You gotta just kind of stand. And so that was the violation called there. We have an inside to shoot to Maru, but she wasn't able to get that.
Shayna Brock with the head D.
Oh, and a great heads up D also by Maru. On Meaty Chang under tight pressure there. Over to Pew.
Wow, Broom is coming all the way down the pipe.
And I mean, Brock was able to skinny that lane to Broom to make that like big chunk yard throw impossible.
Oh yeah.
To Hernandez Flowerman in a power position. Sally Mims right on that red zone. That stall must be getting high. And Pew is able to score.
Looks like the official is.
Oh, maybe saying she stepped in. So maybe she was, her first initial step was out. A little bit of reenacting here. But I think it was also impressive that Mims was able to get that throw off before stall. During the Astra game, we saw many stall out by Colorado.
Yeah, the stalls come quick here at the WL.
All right, so we have Chang. Over to Schumacher, back to Chang.
Swinging.
Seeing if she can also do the Sarah Pesh, which is the long OI. Whoa! And a tight throw to Maru, who's able to grab it, and Boyd tried to get that D in and just tripped over. But that's a score for the Falcons.
Yeah, I appreciate that, like a half moment of silence in recognition of everyone wanting to play safely and, you know, trying to avoid dangerous contact.
Yeah, I do think our the two games yesterday were pretty safe, which is also great to see. I'd love to applaud that, especially when we have those teams who love to do the layout Ds, love to get those big plays, but we emphasize safety first.
Yeah.
And it looked like also Boyd tried to pull up at the last minute, but just had too much momentum going.
And that happens, right? But we need to recognize that we're all trying to do better.
All right, so yes, we have 4 minutes, and it's still 7-7. I do not think either team has been able to generate a break this quarter.
Yeah, we're on serve for the game as far as I know, right?
I think so. But yeah, and also I don't think either team has been able to has made many personnel changes from their line to line. And I know Falcons has primarily run through their handler sets for their O-lines. We see a lot of Chang, we see a lot of Pew, we see a lot of Broom. But those downfield cutters, I think they could be used more effectively, so I'd like to see that more. All right. We have the pole going up. Looks like Alpenglow is going to set up in that split stack with McLaughlin and Dietrich. And it looks like San Francisco is trying to do that poach set again, as Alpenglow kind of fades into more of a vert stack. But as they were in that poach stack, McLaughlin was able to get a very easy open under. All right, we have Pesh.
Oh, this is
With
the
just
story
a
of the
wide
game.
open McLaughlin. This time, Pesh had to throw a backhand. So I think we're showing a lot of diversity in play here.
Yeah, I guess that answers the question for the Falcons. What if we force, I guess, righty flick, lefty backhand?
spoiler alert, they're still very good. Yeah, I think the Falcons, I kind of went back to that original D set that we see where they poach off. But that means that we get all those opportunities where McLaughlin, who's incredibly fast, has just so many steps on a defender. But yeah, I think I would like to see a tighter D or even a different zone look from the Falcons on the Alpenglow.
Yeah, I don't know how I would come up with an answer for McLaughlin and Sarapesh together.
Yeah, just why they're where they are. And yeah, I think Pesh has really thrived this weekend. I know when Alpenglow was originally here playing the Utah Wild for their first game, there was a lot of nerves and a lot of missed throws, and Colorado's really fine-tuned their processes now.
Very nice pull, landing in bounds and sliding just out.
So we have Broom to Chang. And Colorado's in a tight match set for the most part. So that's Lur. Just overthrows to Schumacher. Murphy over to Boyd. To Lavoie, and it looks like a timeout was called. I'm assuming by Colorado.
Yeah, these strategic timeouts are an interesting wrinkle, especially coming from a club setting where you have the opportunity to change personnel and even potentially keep possession if you are very well timed or very fortuitous in your timeout call.
You're able to predict the fast count stall where suddenly it was 5 seconds, but they've been stalled out for 2 of those. Yeah, but I think so it looks like Colorado's going to bring on their O-line, which I think is a fantastic call. And yeah, so it looks like they're bringing basically the whole O-line over, while it looks like Falcons, they're going to bring in new personnel, bring out their more D-line players. I can see right now we have number 26, Mankoff, number 98, Loop. Yeah, and so I think it's been interesting to see. I feel like we haven't heard much from a lot of Falcons players. I mean, they have Jacqueline Wynn out there, who's an incredible defender. But yeah, and then looking forward, so at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, we are going to see another game, which is so exciting. I love more frisbee.
Yeehaw.
We're going to have the Utah Wild play the LA Astra, which is going to be an exciting game. We've seen a lot of parity this weekend, which has been nice, a lot of close games. So we have Alpenglow in. We have Reed, just a missed throw to Pesh.
Okay, this is the other side of the coin when you bring on your O-line, and if they can't keep the disc, then now they're getting worked on defense.
Yeah, so we have Chen back with Win. Up to Mankoff, or Loop, sorry. Win Chen again. And we have McLaughlin kind of poaching in the lane.
Yeah, she's covering a lot of ground.
And she's able to still get back on Wen, which is interesting. Wen with that sliding grab, wow. We are on turf, people. It hurts out here. But just a missed throw to Stepanidis. So we have Ito to Reed. And it looks like Falcons are forcing backhand, which is why...
Oh!
Wow. That was McLaughlin to Thorpe, who really wanted that. I thought that was a full miss throw, so the fact that Thorpe was able to get a hand on it is incredibly impressive.
It definitely wasn't a full throw. I don't think that's where the disc was intended to be. All the credit to Thorpe for
Still able
putting
to
it all
get
out there.
And yeah, Falcons are setting up in that H-stack. So we have Win. Ooh, with just a tight throw to Stepanidis, but it looks like a foul was called. It looked like there was some jostling there. So it looks like, I believe they're calling in the observer. Some reenacting, so we all can relive the action. So foul, they upheld it. So we have Stepanidis with the disc. Not a lot of downfield action.
Yeah, that's one area of the game that I would love to see San Francisco pull out more, because their under churn is creating a lot of opportunities, but I think it's still pretty congested.
So Falcons have been able to make up some yards. We have Chen to a pretty wide open Mankoff. Back to Stepanitis. To Chen. Oh, and another timeout called, I'm assuming by San Francisco. I think well timed. The San Francisco D-line was able to generate a lot of momentum, but they were definitely getting a little stalled out.
Yeah.
No pun intended. And I do think it's a good time to pull back on that O-line, not only to kind of show your faith in your O-line right now, but also kind of make sure your D-line doesn't mess it up, because this is technically a hold for Falcons.
Right. And you have to imagine that Alpenglow similarly would bringing out their D-line, because they don't need to be wearing down their O-line when they've been so effective so far this game.
Yeah, so it looks like Alpenglow is going to bring out their D-line. We have McKee, Veldman, Boyd, Lavoie, some other people I can't see, but it looks like a pretty traditional D-line. While Colorado has two groups chit-chatting right now. Yeah, so we have Chang back out there, Pugh back out there, Schumacher.
You know, I just wonder if I could have done something like this back when I was coaching YCC. It would have been so fun. The kids would have been very upset, probably, to be getting pulled off when they have break opportunities, but, you know, coaching YCC sometimes feels like herding cats.
I was going to say more emotional management.
The YCC programs across the country are very impressive, and the kids are very mature for their age, but they're still cats sometimes.
So we have Falcons setting up an invert stack with Maru as an ISO cutter. We had McKee pulled off the handles, but Maru was still able to get it. We have Hernandez Flowerman to Pugh to Maru. Wow, with a great grab by Schumacher. Chang to Pugh. To Hernandez Flowerman. To Chang again. Yeah, so the Alpenglow defense is really trying to limit that handler, letting them get those unlimited dumps, but San Francisco was able to get that downfield to Hernandez Flowerman.
I would say really impressive defense. If the high releases are the ones that are killing you, then I don't know.
It's pretty good.
You're hoping for some regression to the mean where those throws become less reliable.
And yeah, so we are still, I believe, without a break this quarter with about 50 seconds left on the clock, so that means we have a lot of stoppages. And we can see that just handler movement between Falcons. They're able to still not lose a lot of yards on those dumps because there was no tight pressure. Yeah, and then there's just that high release from Broom. Just a beautiful look right there. And there's Hernandez Flowerman. So just this game, she's already scored 3 goals, which is great. We're going to ignore the turns.
Give her her flowers.
All right. So yes, we have the pull. It's about center field. Patch to Mimak. Oh, with a fantastic grab by Philly. We haven't seen Mimak much this game. Pesh. The spicy throw to McLaughlin, which gets D'd by 16. Chang.
The Falcons are ticky-tacking up the field.
We have Loop. To Chu.
Showing scuba fake. I love it.
That's Chang. To Chu. Oh, timeout called. And I believe Chu still had possession. So it's going to go a few yards back. But yeah, essentially around the same space that Falcons called the timeout last time, and that was very productive for them. So I'm going to assume that it's going to be similar, and that Falcons are going to put on their O-line.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of trust and a lot of capability on both sides of these both sides of the disc for both of these teams. And I wonder as a coach if you might be trying to do too much sometimes. I know for sure me as a YC coach, oftentimes we were doing too much, trying to micromanage the teams. And if a line is in flow, does it sometimes make sense to just like, you get it.
Yeah, show a little bit of faith in your players and kind of let them move. I do think it was a bit of a higher stall, but Falcons was still able to get it up. But I think by that time, Falcons had already called that timeout. It looks like Colorado's going out with more of a flex line. We have, let's see, Philly and McLaughlin out there, but we also have Boyd and Feldman. Looks like there is 6 seconds on the scoreboard too, so this is a very important possession. I am also assuming that this will be the last point. I mean, it will be. But also, if Falcons are able to maintain possession for at least 6 seconds, this will be the last play of the game. So we have Pugh picking up. Yet again, looking for Maru in that ISO. We have Brock with a very active mark, but Pugh's able to get that big around. And that is the end of the quarter. Schumacher was not able to reel that in. It was a very fast play. I think she also knew that Veldman was tight on her. I think it was a beautiful look by Falcons, but yeah, just too fast of a throw, and I understand that the defensive pressure really makes it hard to make those grabs.
Yeah, and kind of as we've alluded to, these end of quarter possessions are like mini universe points, and so the adrenaline gets ratcheted up because you know that this is a rare opportunity.
So yeah, now we're going to take a little look at our first half stats. So it's still tied up, and let's see, San Francisco has only managed to have 1 clean hold, while I think, every single hold by Colorado has been clean, which is a wild stat to look at, even in a tied game. They're about the similar amount of turnovers, but Colorado has had 14 break chances, while Falcons has only had 1, and they've only had 1 break. So they were able to take advantage of it, but that break was off of a dropped pull.
That's a good point. This stats kind of tell the story of an efficient Colorado offense and a relatively efficient San Francisco defense. And we look to see even more of that in the second half, and we will see you guys then.
Own a Utah vacation rental? Vacasa is your ultimate partner. Head to Vacasa.com to see how Vacasa keeps your vacation home booked, cared for, and earning to its highest potential. We are thrilled to announce the official brewery of Utah Wild for 2023, WUL Brewing. You can find us celebrating every Utah Wild game this year at this local brew pub. Their huge projector screen, great food menu, and award-winning beer make this a great home for our watch parties and after parties. Be wilder and head on over to WUL Brewing right after this game for Wild's official after party. This venue is 21+. We'd like to highlight one of Utah Wild's sponsors, Strive and Uplift. Strive and Uplift provides lifting and running programming to Wild athletes. With their values of accessibility, support, growth, and service, Strive and Uplift is passionate about providing high-quality movement education and sports performance guidance in a supportive environment. Through cultivating community spaces for movement and connection, Strive and Uplift helps individuals of all abilities discover how to move confidently in their bodies. To learn more, visit striveanduplift.com. A huge thank you for being a sponsor of the Utah Wild. We'd like to shout out 3 of Utah Wild sponsors: Short One at Physical Midvale, Handy and Handy Attorneys at Law, and We Win Injury Law. Their support of women and non-binary athletes helps make this season possible. For more information on these organizations, visit www.utahwildultimate.org/sponsors. Thank you all for sponsoring the Utah Wild.
Sean Webb, coach of the San Francisco Falcons, at halftime, where the score is tied 8-8. Sean, can you just tell me how you're feeling about how this game is going so far?
It's rather pins and needles. It's exciting. I think both defenses are making it hard for the offense to get into a simple rhythm. And the wind it's not a lot, but it's moving a lot, and I think that can affect a couple of things. But it's been a really fun, exciting, tight game so far.
Has the wind been coming from one direction or
No,
variable?
it kind of moves about, right? And it's in all some form of a diagonal cross. So it's not that bad. It shouldn't be a problem, but it is something that is noticeable.
Are there any adjustments that you want your team to make going into the second half?
I think we're doing okay. I think we just need to figure out how to kind of shut down their sort of up the line type stuff. But we have been creating turns that way too. So I think we just got to play a little tighter on D, and I think we're looking good. Our O is working it. Just need to be careful on our dump sets. That's about it.
Great. Can you give us a little insight into any of your team's favorite cheers?
We believe the fact that we like to eat rats is something that we like to own, and so a lot of our cheers involve some form of rat dismemberation sort of thing, just eating them, consuming them.
Gotta love that Falcons theme. Well, Sean, any other words before we wrap up?
No, I think thanks for hosting, Utah. This has been a wonderful place. Check out the scenery if you can. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and good luck in the second half.
Thank you very much. All right, bye.
Perfect.
Whatever, all this ever but you long gone, it don't matter. Ride or die, that's been the deal. The light of your back, I disappear. But if you don't play that for me, I'm out of it, I'm out of it. I lick my gun and then I'm done. I'm out of it, I'm out of it. No man to tell me you're no good. I'm brushing away, do you, the weight of you. My shoulders, done with my cigarette, and when all the smoke is clear, I'm brushing away for you, the weight for you, the weight for you. Don't need a no man. Tell me you're no good. I'm brushing away, do you, the weight of you, of my shoulders. Done with my cigarette, and when all the smoke is clear, I'm brushing away for you, the weight for you, the weight of you. Don't need a no man.
Hey there, and welcome back to beautiful Salt Lake City. We are getting ready for the second half of this super tight game against the Colorado Alpenglow and the San Francisco Falcons. Leah, how are you enjoying the game so far?
Oh, it's been a great game to see. Despite the tie, I feel like there is some momentum in favor of the Colorado Alpenglow. They've had a very effective offense. They've only been broken once, and that was on a dropped pull. So yeah, they just can't, Falcons can't stop that OI flick, whether it's from a lefty or a righty. We just keep seeing it over and over to just a player in stride. We have some just effective offense, definitely quarterbacked by Sarah Pesh. Pesh is a lefty, and Falcons have not found an answer for her. They haven't been able to stop her. Every throw looks incredibly easy.
Yeah, and she's showing what like 10 years of high-level club experience will do for someone. She plays at a very high level, keeps it cool, and executes very crisply. I think anyone would be lucky to have her as a teammate.
It doesn't hurt that she's also 5'10".
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like she hasn't had to work hard for many throws.
I don't know what I would do if I was running the San Francisco Falcons defense, but I would try to look to do something different.
And the Falcons defense we've seen so far has been a little bit poachy and trying to be flat to stop that huck look, but that means that Alpenglow's been able to get really wide open on those unders. Yeah, Falcons just haven't been able to generate a lot of defensive intensity. They haven't been able to generate really many turns from Alpenglow.
I mean, so far their best bet is throw a pull that is really high such that Colorado has to attempt to catch it.
Yeah, that's not necessarily the best strategy in the world, but it worked once.
It worked once. And we heard during halftime Falcons coach discuss some of the swirly winds here in our kind of cliffside stadium here at Judge Memorial High School in Salt Lake City.
We definitely have the best view in the WUL.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have the pull go up.
Homer bias for Salt Lake City Stadium.
Yeah, it's best for it's best views, maybe not the best for playing with these winds. Let's see, that was Lur with a sliding grab. Chang with the layout to save possession. To Broom.
Broom showing off that high release.
Yeah, I mean, she's able to move her mark around, but there wasn't much movement from the Falcons downfield. Wow, close grab by Maru. To Hernandez-Flowerman.
Who's having quite a game so far today with 3 goals.
Oh, and just a missed throw, though.
That's on me.
That was, yeah, I'm putting you as the turn on that. But there was a miscue, and we have Beetle Mawcroft picking up. And Alpenglow setting up in a split stack.
This is very impressive to be doing this out of a turn.
Ooh. But yeah, just a missed throw. Couldn't get that around up all the way. And we have Pew picking up. Broom. And I think on previous, ooh, whoa. A great angle by Broom. I think she definitely wanted to go a little bit steadier so Pew didn't have to lay out for it. But yeah, I think Pew was able to take advantage, kind of dancing around her defender.
Yeah, it definitely felt like Broom was, the clock was counting down for a high release. I felt it.
And I mean, it's been effective before. Yes, we have Pew, who's been just, yeah, really effective back for the Falcons. We see Pew kind of dancing around her defenders, and McKee just couldn't get to it. It was right over her head. So yeah, that was a fantastic grab. So yes, that is another, I think that is one of 2 clean holds by the Falcons.
Clean-ish.
Clean-ish. Clean in the fact that there wasn't any turns. But yeah, so we're now 8-9 with the very effective Colorado O-line out there. We have Philly picking up to Pesh. We have Dietrich out there as an ISO cutter, but Dietrich wasn't able to make much movement infield. So we have Philly and Pesh kind of throwing back and forth with chunk yards up to Ito. And it looks like Falcons are kind of marking them flat. Flat righty backhand again, which they've been forcing for most of the game. We have Thorpe with just a high release to Pesh.
Very chill.
With another high release back to Thorpe. Whoa, with a laser to Reed. Looks like it was called in.
The observers out there moving as slowly as humanly possible
I
to
would
make that
say
call.
for the drama.
The drama.
Oh, it looks like players are disagreeing. And in the WL, I believe observers do active calls for up and down, in or out. So they should be respecting the observer for that. And that was a huge grab by Reed.
Wow. That's actually one of the first times we've seen Colorado have to do something spectacular on the receiving end to convert a goal.
Yeah, I want to see more spectacular plays.
Yeah.
Kristen Reed is also, like I said, she's an end zone receiver for Colorado. Just in this game, we've seen her score, let's see, one. Let's see, another. Two.
Someone who you're always looking for in the end zone.
Someone who you're always looking for. And she also, I believe, held the stat for at least one Nationals of player with the most goals scored across all 3 divisions. So she has a nose for the end zone, and I think just works really well with that red zone patience. She times her cuts incredibly well. Yeah, and that's her, I think, 3rd or 4th goal of this game. Yeah, Thorpe with that flick. It just went a little long, and Reed is still able to bring that in. So we're seeing Alpenglow's second D-line. We've seen this D-line generate a few turns, but not necessarily get that break like the other D-line from the Alpenglow. So I'd like to see some more defensive intensity there.
A very nice pull, though. It's a good start.
That was Bash with the pull to Chang, and Chang in the center for Falcons. Broom. With a high release to Maru. Wow! With a fantastic bid to Chang. To Hernandez-Flowerman. Wow, to Broom. They're working really hard to maintain possession. We have Schumacher. To Chang. And it looks like Falcons haven't been able to generate too many yards. Most of the time when they get it downfield, they end up looking for that handler.
Here we go.
Oh. Oh, just a little long, a little wide for Hernandez-Flowerman.
I would love to see the Falcons kind of convert those like side-to-side swings into some downfield looks.
Yeah, I feel like Falcons do have that downfield look. They just aren't necessarily throwing those throws. And whether that's not trusting themselves or the receivers this game.
Yeah,
I can't
absolutely.
really figure that out. So we have Larson picking up for Alpenglow, who's in a vert stack. Looking for Yang just right out of that stack. To Boyd. I think Alpenglow's doing a really great job also having their cuts be multiple options. Oh, Murphy tries to save it. But if they go deep, then they're able to still have an accessible under, and they aren't clogging the lanes, which I think is really important. Wow, Boyd with the jump D. We have Yang picking up, back to Boyd. And Murphy's streaking deep. And I think that might have turned into a little bit of a huck and play D situation, but that definitely gave them a lot of yards. And with how this Falcons team is playing, it might be worthwhile to have them start further back.
Yeah, the Falcons are looking like they could use some energy.
Yeah, we have Mims with the rolling grab.
Lots of people on the floor. Lots of hustle keeping these discs alive.
And Larson's playing really tight D on Mims. They were on Chang. But Chang was still able to get it. And they've gotten some chunk yards, but are still primarily looking to work through that handle set.
Power position.
That's Broom to Schumacher. Just a little out of her reach.
That was close.
Yeah, I think that was a great look by Broom, and maybe if Schumacher could and wanted to hit the deck, it would have been feasible, but I fully understand why he wouldn't. That takes a toll on your body.
Yeah, absolutely. Oof, and that would have been a high one.
Yeah. We have Wei to Larson. Oh, to Yang, who just slips out of her hands. So we have Chang doing a slow walk up to the disc so the Falcons can get organized. We have Pugh kind of set a little bit back. Oh, maybe looking to be in line with Chang to be that upline look immediately. With an inside to Mims with a big hype play. Trying to bring that energy. Yeah, I think Falcons, I mean, they're running hard out there, but they aren't necessarily bringing a lot of pizzazz.
Yeah, maybe that's the start of something. That was a nice inside break.
That was a great inside break, as well as a clean, easy portion of that point.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was a hold by Falcons. And, yeah, I mean, that the Alpenglow D-Lane was still able to generate 2 turns there. And I know we're early in the quarter, so it might not be worthwhile to call those timeouts, but maybe next time when they get it halfway down the field. So yeah, let's take a look back at this point. We saw a lot of big plays. We have Maru laying out. Just an incredible one-handed grab.
And the shoulder shimmy to inside flick that everyone loves. It's a
pro move right there.
Kind of like a roller pull coming out. Pesh is picking up the disc on her own this time.
Over to Philly. Mimax unmarked right now. They're poaching off into the lanes. With a huge look to Dietrich. That was beautiful.
You know, it's kind of a surprise we haven't seen more of that this game, but I don't know if Colorado has needed it, despite the score being very tight.
I think Falcons have focused a lot on trying to take away the huck initially, but at this point I think they tried to show a different defensive look. I know that they had people poached off at the far side handle, but instead they still gave up that big huck, I believe, yes, by Pesh. Just a beautiful backhand. Floated perfectly. And Dietrich not only able to make the catch, but make the catch in the end zone.
While backpedaling.
While backpedaling.
She can't be overthrown.
That's important. I cannot backpedal that quickly, so I'm very impressed every time she does it.
A banner game so far for Aubrey Dietrich with 3 goals and 1 assist.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she works really well with Pesh as well. I mean, Reed who's just an end zone machine, but yeah, yet again, I think that goes into the whole storyline of, yeah, Sarah Pesh with 5 assists this game, and it shows. She's just been an incredible motor for the O-line there.
Yeah, without looking like she's motoring too hard.
Yeah. So we have Chang to Schumacher with tight D on Lur. We have Chang. It looks like there's been a few collisions out there at this point.
Lots of traffic.
I think people are getting a little tired, as well as I think Colorado really wants a break. There were no breaks last quarter.
Right.
And
Foul was called here.
Foul called.
Figured it out. Okay.
They figured it out.
Coming in, pre-stall. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Falcons definitely taking that pre-stall to get organized. A high release from Chang to Pugh. Over to Hernandez-Flowerman. Brock was trying to poach off that lane and make it really skinny, but Hernandez-Flowerman was still able to find that space. A leading inside out to Chang. That's definitely a frisbee IQ throw.
Wow.
Wow. We have Maru to Chang.
Another high release. I guess just stick with it if it's working.
I think Chang is like, get in the car. We're going to win this game. Definitely just, oof, it just slipped out of Blair's hands.
That's killer. That was looking so good.
And we have Feldman going deep.
Oh, put it.
Oh, and just an overthrow. I believe that is to right. But we've seen Falcons in this probably exact spot now.
Yeah. This is probably why the score is actually so close, despite all the flowers we've been giving to the Alpenglow's offense.
Yeah, I mean, Falcons have been able to be really gritty and take advantage of the turns of the Alpenglow D-line lack of efficiency. We have Lur to number 24, Hernandez-Flowerman.
4th goal of the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do think we keep talking about how amazing the Alpenglow O-line is, but the game is tied, essentially. So, I mean, it's still just a toss-up game, and it's going to be won by defense at this point.
Yeah, it's like we're Mountain West homers. We love the Falcons too.
Yeah, the Falcons gotta have some California representation. And we always appreciate people coming out here to Utah to play. Get that fun altitude throws. Yeah, I'm interested to see if either team's going to start putting out hybrid lines or like universe lines to ensure to really generate those turns.
If I was on Alpenglow coaching staff, I would definitely be thinking about doing that soon because it feels like this is a game that could be put away, but they're just not really executing on that D side.
And I mean, I was going to say Falcons generated a turn, but Alpenglow's able to get that right back. Philly just did a miss throw originally, and then Thorpe was able to capitalize on the D.
Big yards. Oh, great touch pass.
To Kristen Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thorpe. I think Thorpe brings a lot of energy, offensively to the O-line, obviously, but she definitely brings that grind and hype to get the disc back if there is a turn for Colorado.
Oh yeah. She has kind of a defensive mentality about trying to really fight to earn those discs back.
Yeah, and I think she's very conscious with her throws too, which is important.
Not always.
Not always.
Not always equivalent with defensive mentality, but.
Yeah, so we have Thorpe. Just a in-motion backhand to Reed. That's Reed's 5th goal of the game.
There's just not enough people.
There's not enough people. 7's too few. No, I think it's been really great to see Reed. And yeah, every time that she scored, there's been a defender at least 3 steps behind her. She brings a lot of speed, and I think her cuts are incredibly well timed.
Yeah, right. Because more than she outrunning players in spaces, she's just there at the right time.
And the pole goes out of bounds.
Number 17, Elijah Pugh, picking it up and going to bring it.
And let's see, we have Minak on mark while Pugh picks up. Alpenglow in a match D while Falcons run their host stack. We have Hernandez Flowerman with the disc. To Chang. To Maru. Back to Chang.
Nice high release.
Over to Mims. Oh. And I think, in general, for the Falcons red zone, at least in that situation, the players are setting up too close to the person with the disc, so they don't have space to run onto anything, as well as the defenders are right there matching.
Yeah, they kind of had 5 people cutting.
While Falcons is set up in kind of a poachy D, but that means that Liz Murphy is wide open on the far side. We have Way with the disc. Ooh, to Yang with a timeout called. Looks like Sally Mims had some contact there, but it was a fantastic save by Yang.
Was that a Colorado call?
Oh, yes, yeah, Colorado called it, and I think they called it right at when Yang had possession, which is really well timed. Because when you get those layouts, but you have a person on you, yes. Let's take another look at this. Just a fantastic
But
grab.
also potentially a power play.
Yes. But normally by the time you get up from those layouts, you're already at stall 3,
But yeah, it's like they're playing hockey out there for those 2 seconds.
Yes.
I'm a big give and go player and selfish to boot. So if I was Yang, I would have been like, just let me go, please.
Just let me at him. And it looks like Colorado's putting a hybrid line out there. So we have Veldman, Boyd, Pesh, Reed, Thorpe, and Ito. So I think they bring Veldman out there for more defensive intensity, but otherwise it looks like a pretty traditional O-line, where we have Ito, McLaughlin, Reed.
I mean, just huck it to Veldman or Boyd too is an option.
Oh yeah, Boyd is a traditional D-line player. So I think that's a great line to see, and they've run it before this game and seen it successfully go. And despite Pesh with the disc, it will be a break for Colorado if they do score. And we also have about 2:45 back on the clock.
Man, so many high releases.
And a big hug to Veldman.
Put me on the.
Oh, I think they heard you, but
Yeah, right. Put me
looks
on the
like
coaching
Mankoff's
staff.
also got your number.
Yeah.
Stepanitis to Munson. Chen with the disc. To Chang. Eliza Chang. Stepanitis with the go-go
great
gadget.
vision.
Chen. She's looking for a dump, but it's definitely a high stall. Thor tried to get the layup, but Chang was able to get it. And Stepanitis with the score. That's a hold for the Falcons, and I definitely think that makes their D-line out there feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. The Falcons are really showing, you know, now I'm kind of feeling more of the Falcons right now. They're showing that grit, and even when Colorado has opportunities to kind of like attempt to close the door and make some space, Falcons are sticking around.
Yeah, I think at least at the end of the first quarter, Falcons' energy felt kind of flagging. But I don't know what reset they needed during half, but they have a little bit more energy now.
Yeah.
And we have some Colorado fans here. We have some cutouts. I like the little tiny head. But yeah, so we have some locals, or Colorado fans who drove all the way out here to see these players. We have Stepanitis with the score. So, yeah, I mean, the Falcons' D-line was able to generate that turn, which they hadn't been able to before, and still score. So hopefully they can do it this time on defense.
We are now under 2 minutes left in the quarter, so we'll see some more stoppages here, and we'll probably see coaches run some tighter lines or hybrid lines to try to win the quarter.
Reed really got that under tight pressure to McLaughlin, to Mimak, to Pesh. Just, yeah, she didn't really have a mark on her. And Philly in the end zone. Panthers can score too. But yeah, that was a nice hold. While there was some defensive pressure, especially on Kristen Reed's initial grab off of the centering throw, otherwise, I know Pesh was basically unmarked when she got to that power position.
Yeah, let's see this. Once it just gets swung back to the break side of the field.
Yeah, I think Colorado's been doing a great job using a lot of horizontal space.
Yeah.
They're able to keep swinging the disc around. They take 1 second to look downfield and then just keep swinging the disc and making that horizontal movement to create those power positions. So yeah, Philly with the score. So yes, we have 133 because that score was very fast. And yeah, wow, Pesh that's her 6th assist of the game. Yes, unstoppable at this point. All right, we have Veldman with the pull. Meaty Chang to Pugh, to Chang, to Pugh. To Lur. To Pugh.
Hernandez Flowers looking deep.
Oh, and that was some tight pressure by Brock.
Brock thought she had it. She often does.
We have Broom looking for someone. Finds Pugh. Ooh, with the inside reset to Chang. To Broom. Looking at 19. Ooh, was able to make the grab. Let's see if it was in. So that's Mims. I mean, it looked like her feet were set, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe the observers are going to consult one another. Looks like we have 2 calls.
All right, so looks like it was not a goal. Mims finds Broom. Wow, that looked hard on the knees. Oh, and the layout D by Brock.
Brock gets it back.
She's been hunting for that the whole game. We have McKee over to beat Mockcroft. To right. Oh, and just out of Alpenglow's reach, just out of Brock's reach. Hit the ground again.
That's killer. You got to feel sometimes you're like, man, how many times do I have to lay out to keep this disc alive?
I would love a clap catch every once in a while.
Yeah, just give me the easies.
So we have Chang to Hernandez Flowerman. Boyd thought about trying to get in there for the D, but pulled back. Maru. Looking for someone. Looking at Chang.
He's like, give it to me so I can throw this lefty high release.
Blur. To Maru. Pew. Oh yeah, I think it was just a high stall throw. Oh, and there might be...
Is that the end of the quarter?
Oh, yes, that's the end of the quarter.
And we are still tied, 12-12. I think a 0 break quarter.
A 0 break quarter, at least in my recollection. Yeah, so more importantly, San Francisco was not able to hold, and I believe they will start on D for quarter 4.
Yeah.
So that's an important thing to note. So we're going to take a little look back at this possession. Yeah, we have Broom just really working hard. But then there's Brock's layout D, so there's no way. So layout to a layout. Just, yeah, an incredible angle by Brock and just some foresight there. But we will be back for our 4th quarter. It's bound to be exciting. See you then.
Own a Utah vacation rental? Vacasa is your ultimate partner. Head to vacasa.com to see how Vacasa keeps your vacation home booked, cared for, and earning to its highest potential. We are thrilled to announce the official brewery of Utah Wild for 2023, WUL Brewing. You can find us celebrating every Utah Wild game this year at this local brew pub. Their huge projector screen, great food menu, and award-winning beer make this a great home for our watch parties and after parties. Be wilder and head out over to the WUL Brewing right after this game for Wild's official after party. This venue is 21+. We'd like to highlight one of Utah Wild's sponsors, Strive and Uplift. Strive and Uplift provides lifting and running programming to Wild athletes. Through their values of accessibility, support, growth, and service, Strive and Uplift is passionate about providing high-quality movement education and sports performance guidance in a supportive environment. Through cultivating community spaces for movement and connection, Strive and Uplift helps individuals of all abilities discover how to move confidently in their bodies. To learn more, visit striveanduplift.com. A huge thank you for being a sponsor of the Utah Wild. We'd like to shout out 3 of Utah Wild sponsors: Fort One at Physical Midvale, Handy and Handy Attorneys at Law, and We Win Injury Law. Their support of women and non-binary athletes helps make this season possible. For more information on these organizations, visit www.utahwildultimate.org/sponsors. Thank you all for sponsoring the Utah Wild.
Welcome back to the 4th quarter. We're looking at a super tight game between the San Francisco Falcons and the Colorado Alpenglow. Leah, can you tell us a little bit about a couple of these big takeaways of the game?
Yes, I think the biggest one to highlight right now is the Falcons have only had 1 clean hold. So they have had 10 holds, which is incredible to see, but only 1 of those have been clean. While Colorado has basically followed through on 2 out of the 19 break chances. So the D-line is able to generate a lot of turns, but they have not been able to turn those, take those turns into breaks. So each turn has the same amount of turnovers, which is 22, but yeah, I think the biggest storyline is the fact that the Falcons O-line has only had 1 clean hold. So yeah, it's been really interesting to see. I think it's also important to point out that Falcons are missing a few of their key players. I know one of them is Melina Weedy. She's one of their top scorers, and I believe on their O-line, and so they're definitely missing her. I haven't been able to see as effective downfield movement. Falcons have been running primarily through their handle sets.
Yeah, and a lot of handler work from the Falcons. Lots of high releases, lots of insides.
And I think it's also important to highlight for Alpenglow, Sarah Pesh. She has thrown 6 assists and has really been quarterbacking the team. Otherwise, I would also highlight Kristen Reed, who I believe has 4, maybe 5 goals. She has a nose for the end zone and is really just crushing it right now. So Falcons are starting out on D, and
this is potentially a huge opportunity for Alpenglow, considering they're starting on offense. If they can get a hold, then they have a point advantage through the rest of the quarter.
Yeah, so it looks like Alpenglow is setting up in that split stack with Thorpe and McLaughlin as initiating cutters. Falcons have pulled off really heavily and kind of are backing the field. Oh, and a fantastic grab by Wynn.
Yeah, just some miscommunication between McLaughlin and the thrower.
We have Munson all alone, back to Wynn. To Munson. To Chen. Stall's getting high. Yeah, and I mean, as we said at the halftime show, the wind's a little swirly up here. We are on a hill, so that also probably contributed to that missed throw, plus the stall. We have Pesh picking up, and just, yeah, a missed throw to McLaughlin.
A miscommunication the other way.
Wow.
This time McLaughlin was fake deep and came under. That's tough.
It's tough to see.
It really feels like anybody's game here.
Oh, and the run through D by Philly. Munson definitely did not come to, and Philly took advantage of that. Pesh picking up. We have Thorpe back with her. Going straight for that upline. With a big, just centering pass to Dietrich over to McLaughlin. Oh, with a break side throw to Reed. Just all alone out there. That was some beautiful sight by McLaughlin, as well as, yeah, I think the mark just wasn't on tight enough so McLaughlin could get that throw really easily.
Yeah. McLaughlin used her fakes, and the Colorado had turned the field at that point, so then the defense kind of has to have their head on the swivel to find those throws going cross corner.
Yeah, I at least in the Falcons Wild game, Falcons were using force middle a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I've seen that used as effectively this time, but I'm unsure if that's what they were trying to do during this last point. But if they were, then that was definitely a miscue that let Reed get all the way open. So that's Reed's 6th goal, but we have Wynn with that just highlight play. And then we have McLaughlin's just sight all the way over to Reed. Yeah, so it looks like they were forcing McLaughlin flick, and Reed was just wide open, so I don't know if they switched the force downfield to reflect that. All right, we have Veldman with the pull.
Nice pull.
A phenomenal pull, wow.
Huh.
To Chang. To Broom. The Falcons are in an H stack. But they're still working it through their handlers. We have Pew. To Chang. And Falcons have just lost yards. They haven't hit any downfield cutters, except for now Maru. And an injury called. It looks like Brock hit the ground pretty hard. Kind of did the splits. I think they had a lot of momentum going with them. And it is turf and it is warm, so it feels worse. But we have Philly coming in, and let's see, looks like we have Stepanitis coming on. I think she replaced Schumacher, but that is a guess.
Let's see if Colorado can keep up this intensity on defense, because right now the Falcons are throwing a lot of throws.
Yeah, and we have Boyd pulled off in the backfield, but let's see, number 23 Mims is not really taking advantage of that. We have Chang in that power position, but no one really in step there. So over to Maru.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of value gained from the power position on either side of the disc.
All right, we have Broom.
And that's just a credit to the marks swooping and shutting down the downfield looks.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily the downfield D being super tight, but the mark is doing a great job preventing that. We have Mims on the sideline. Looking for Broom. But ends up Pugh with the grab. That's some tight D from McKee. We have Hernandez Flowerman over to Stepanidis. To Chang.
High release. What do we think?
Yes. To Stepanidis in the center of the field. To Pugh. Over to, I believe, Hernandez Flowerman. I think that's her third or fourth goal.
So kind of more of the same. You know,
Yeah.
I'm definitely like gritting my teeth just watching.
Yeah.
And it's been the same story. you
Yeah,
know?
we've seen the same plays, same throws, same D. I would like to see, I mean, I personally love more variety, so I'd love to see more looks, whether that's on D, but we can see, yep, there's Pugh with just a beautiful flick to Hernandez Flowerman in stride. It was well placed and well timed.
Yeah. Yeah, Colorado has these opportunities.
Yeah, and we have 5 goals for Hernandez Flowerman. So she's almost rivaling Kristen Reed. So, I mean, yeah, she's been able to get open in the end zone. It really is just getting the Falcons to the end zone and cleanly that really should be
Yeah.
the goal right now.
I'll be curious to see at the end of this game the number of completions for the Falcons.
Yes.
It seems like they're just throwing so many throws.
So Falcons came down really tight on D. Chen made it so they couldn't center to Mimak. But we have Thorpe kind of trapped sideline. The up line, just a little bit too far for Mimak. We have Chen picking up on the sideline. Oh, with a big layout by Thorpe. Looks like we have too many hands back with Ito trying to help. Ooh, just a little too fast for McLaughlin, who's very fast.
Yeah, I think she was kind of coming under, and that disc required her to kind of turn or run flat.
A beautiful round by Chu. Thorpe!
That was crazy.
I would say she's in goblin mode right now, like
Holy cow.
ready to get those Ds. Not to toot my own horn, but I did say that earlier that she brings that defensive intensity to this O-line.
You nailed it. And our in-stadium broadcaster just referred to Thorpe as a torpedo, and I have to echo that. A torpedo, that's perfect.
So we have Dietrich to Reed. And it looks like San Francisco's running a forced middle, which is also, oop, it looks like a foul called. That was Chang, Eliza Chang with the, trying to get the run through. But yeah, it looks like San Francisco is trying to run a forced middle, which seems more effective. They've generated more turns this point.
Right. One of the things we love when you're running a forced middle effectively is you're causing
Falcon test.
throwers to have to
Come back
change
here.
their perspective of the field as they're catching.
Yeah, as well as changing cutting paths, where you're like,
Right.
I was getting forced this way and I couldn't get there, but now with this side is wide open, I did an amazing job. So we have Reed over to Pesh. To Reed. To McLaughlin. There's some tight person
Yeah,
D.
great defense for the Falcons.
That was some great D by Chen, and that was kind of a panic throw. Might have been a stall called.
Yeah, I think so.
McLaughlin was holding the disc for a while. So yeah, and I think also number 36, Wang, on the mark was just really active.
All over the place.
We have Chu.
It feels like this game is going to be determined by the team that can kind of hold it together in this last quarter when everyone's tired. Because this has been, you know, a sloppy point like the first point of the game was, where each team was figuring things out. But now I think they're dealing with just mental and physical exhaustion a little bit.
Yeah, this is the third turn of the point, I think, for the Alpenglow. And we have McLaughlin getting into that red zone. Mimak. To Ito. To, you guessed it, Reed. I want like a heat map of where Reed has scored, and I know it's just going to be a single circle, like 2 yards into the end zone, 1 like foot away from the sideline. And if it works, it works.
Yeah.
I believe that is her 7th goal of the game, so that is half of Colorado's points. So we're gonna take a look. First, there's Abby Thorpe with the layout block to get to the first one, and then just an incredible play. And then she does it again, literally one turn later. Just hits the deck so high up. And then, yeah, we have Ito's beautiful outside in flick to Reed.
And that was definitely a grind point. After that, there was a lot of Falcons defenders with hands on knees. It's tough to lose those, especially this late in the game.
Yeah, because you feel successful because you're generating those turns and making the Alpenglow O-line tired, which is really important. But also, like, you want to score. They forced Alpenglow to turn 3 times, which is really impressive to do. You just really want to seal it away.
But then I'm not sure they ever made it back past half field.
I think they made it 2 or 3 throws and then turned it. So we have Broom picking up to Pew. Back to Broom. And yeah, let's see. Falcons are in their H set. Looking for kind of a poachy person. I think number 12, Beetle Mockroff, fouled on the reception. Chang thanking the hook. Over to Schumacher. To Pew. Oh, Veldon, injury called. I'm a little unsure of what happened, but I think they landed a little weird. Just getting some help up.
Yeah, Rory laid out for that attempted point block, and you can kind of land awkwardly between your shoulder.
Not ideal. But they bring in Thorpe on.
Another tremendous defender.
Another person who's also not afraid to hit the ground. So yeah, Pew still holds the disc, and we have Daniels on mark. Downfield, it looks like Colorado's pretty much in a match D, but it looks like 19 on Falcons lure is a little open on that under if Boyd could get there. Yes. And there's Lur. Over to Hernandez, Flowerman, back to Pew. To Maru with that inside grab. To Schumacher. And Falcons have been able to kind of change the field horizontally, but they weren't able to gain many yards.
Yeah, this is about their 10th throw since the injury stoppage, and they're now just making it past the half line, the midline.
Schumacher getting that under, and then Chang just unleashes to Maru. Oh, with the great grab.
A great catch with pressure from Shayna Brock, number 8 on Alpenglow.
And was that a clean hold?
No. No chance.
Just checking. With the stoppages, I kind of lose track a little bit.
You know, actually, I think it was clean. I spoke too soon.
I try so hard. No, but that was, yeah, a great, I think it kind of encapsulates the Falcons' offense. It's incredibly patient, and they're not afraid to swing it back and forth and kind of get all those throws in, especially when you have Meaty Chang back there. She's an incredible thrower. We have that high release to Schumacher, which kind of unlocked the rest of the field for Chang to get it back and hit Maru in motion. Yeah, so that was a beautiful throw and better grab. Maru was still under pressure and able to bring the disc down one-handed. But we're still tied up at 14-14, and it's 4:40 left on the clock. And it looks like it goes just out of bounds. So Pesh is bringing it in. And yet again, we have Alpenglow in that side stack, and it looks like Falcons are in a match D. It looks like they're forcing Kristen Reed under, but trying to force Dietrich deep.
And that's dangerous either way.
Yeah.
You got to pick your poison, though.
Oh, and that worked out. We have number 26, Mankoff, with the D on Reed. I think if Reed was able to attack the disc a little bit more, it would allowed Mankoff to step in there. Yes, we have,
Pesh is padding those stats. Pesh is like, hey, I'm the one that throws the disc, not the one that runs down the field.
Oh! just bounced off of Philly's hands. So we have Munson picking up for the Falcons. Yet again, a not horizontal stack. Reeds match up pretty tight on Mankoff, which is usually the initial look. With an inside over to Win. And it looks like, yeah, Chen and Munson were a little bit of traffic, but we have Loop to Reed, who swats it down. Who just keeps running. Thorpe picks up over to Pesh. Back to Thorpe. To McLaughlin. To Philly. It looks
takes
like
2 defenders with her.
Which is fair when you've scored 6 goals. We have Thorpe. The great grab by Ito. And Falcons are really padding the backfield. And that was, I'm assuming, a high stall. Bailout. But yeah, Falcons had Mankoff in the backfield trying to prevent those deep looks, but that also meant that there was a little bit of confusion on Alpenglow's part. I don't think they necessarily recognized that one of their players was essentially unmarked. So there's the discussion on the stall.
And the clock runs until 2 minutes, right?
Until 2 minutes, which is going to be in 15 seconds. It looks like the stall was overturned, and so the Falcons have to work at the full field. And I think this, like, Falcons have been really gritty on defense, and I definitely think the Alpenglow offense is getting tired. This is their second long point this quarter.
Yeah.
And they haven't either. It's been a low-scoring quarter. Oh, and the mag
some luck.
to Loop.
Yeah, in a game this tight, something as small as like 1 MAC completion could be the difference maker.
Oh, and McLaughlin was close there, but Chang has it. Chen is looking over to Munson. Pesh is really poached off trying to skinny those lanes. We have Win. Back to Munson. To Chen. I think Alpenglow's poaching off of their handlers, but that's not necessarily being effective because they're getting essentially free resets, except for that one. But we have Munson picking up. Oh, and just out of number 58, Jacqueline Wataoka's hands.
It's tough to stay composed after like falling on the ground, whether it's a layout or a trip up. To immediately get up and throw and do it effectively is really tricky.
To backseat coach, I definitely would have recommended a timeout for the Falcons, especially after that throw. Oh, and looks like someone tried to call it. I'm assuming Colorado, because they have possession.
Yeah.
But yeah, take a chance to reset, kind of get some water. I don't know what kind of personnel changes Colorado should do right now, because I know their O-line is tired, but they've been so efficient this game, except for the last except for this last quarter, basically.
Right. And so you got to think like what do we do as a line to kind of refocus and be the team that we were for the first 3 quarters?
I mean, as well as like Falcons, that D-line's been very effective the last 2 points. They're getting really, really close on these turns, and they're generating a lot of pressure. So as we take a look back, we have 1:06 on the clock, and this game has high impact on championship weekend. If San Francisco goes 0-2 this game, that means that they are almost essentially out of the standings, I believe. While Colorado is still knocking on the door, I think a lot of it depends on this game. Obviously, out-of-conference matchups matter just as much as in-conference. But then Alpenglow and Wild are both going to take on the Tempest and Onyx, Seattle and Oregon. I think the last week of the season, and those are going to be yet again some high-pressure games. They will determine the outcome of the Northwest Conference. But we're really getting to decision time here, and every game is just really important.
Yeah, we've seen really tight games all season, and this is a great demonstration of that. And it kind of just indicates how much parity there is in the league and how it's kind of the doors open for championship weekend.
So yeah, I don't see any major personnel changes on Colorado. I think Falcons may have brought in a few new people. I don't think Stepanitis was out there before. And it looks like they changed their handles back. Oh, and we have number 16, Chang, with the with the D. I don't know if there was a stall called. Pash was holding the disc for a long time.
Yeah, just a couple of some miscommunication on the primary cuts from the Alpenglow, and making one wrong mistake there puts you at a really high stall count.
And I know, like, there's 56 seconds left. If Falcons get a break, this is game changing. We have
Falcons
32
really trying to be patient here.
to 36. That's Wang. Oh, and it looks like that was just a panic throw. I know Wang was holding the disc for a long time, and while Chu looked open, I know that sometimes the mark makes it so they can't. Looks like there might be a discussion on whether Ito maybe set a pivot. Otherwise, I can't imagine any other way that you would just have the disc start in the end zone.
Right.
Unless she was offsides again, which is literally impossible.
I didn't see it.
I was watching the downfield. But it looks like Alpenglow is setting up in a vert stack. Oh, and it looks like that stands
Oh my
a
gosh.
foul called. It looked like Luke wasn't even close to her, so I don't know how that happened. It must have been an
Maybe a
offensive.
violation.
Maybe a violation if there was a, I don't know if there was a pre-stall, but I don't think so for this kind of possession. Oh, and it was just out of Pesh's reach. I'm so excited that my calf just cramped. And there's a timeout called,
Holy cow.
and not by Falcons. We have 20 seconds left on the clock.
I have to say, for the first time this game, it seemed like the Colorado offense was a little shook.
Yeah,
off.
I think they were getting really frantic.
Yeah.
And I know that there's always a cliche in coaching where it's like, we need to play our game. But honestly, that's what I would recommend to Colorado right now. It seemed like for most of it they were playing their game, but for the last 2 minutes they have not.
Yeah. And with the game this tight, I guess there's no opportunities to slip.
And I think they might be bringing a few people over, but they're keeping McLaughlin out there. They're keeping Philly out there, Thorpe. It looks like they're bringing Reich over. And I can't quite see who else. While all of Falcons is over there, and I'm assuming they're only going to put 7 players on. So we'll see who they choose. I'm assuming Chang, who's just been phenomenal this game. I think Meaty Chang brings just so much patience to the field.
Yeah, because despite the number of completions that the Falcons have had to maintain to stay in the game, they've done it pretty effectively. There hasn't been that many miscommunications on the Falcons side on swings or short dinks.
Yeah. I think there's been a lack of momentum downfield, but the handler core has stayed relatively chill together, and I think they work really well together.
Let's see if they can keep that up
So
just for another 20 seconds.
We have Pew picking up, we have Chang back, and it looks, I think they have Maru as an ISO cutter, who's matched up with Brock, who's had an incredible game as well. With an inside over to Win, who stayed on. Win's a D-line player. And we have a wide open Hernandez Flowerman. We have Chang to Maru to Chang with just a high release with 2 seconds left to Mims.
What a
2
doozy.
seconds. Oh my gosh. Wow, 2 seconds. I'm really stuck on that right now.
I guess this is like a grit over grace type of game.
Sometimes you gotta score it all rather than play the clock.
Yeah.
We can take another look. There's Mims over to Maru, back to Chang, sorry, with just a high release. Beautiful pressure release to Mims. Wow. I am sweating up here. It's really hot, and this game has just got my heart beating fast. So there were 9 turnovers that point, so no wonder the Colorado O-line is a little bit tired out there. But it looks like they are keeping, yet again, the same O-line out there. So they have Ito, Dietrich, Pesh, Reed, Philly, McLaughlin, and Thorpe.
What are the implications of a tie in a game like this where it's
Well, overtime.
overtime? Absolutely.
And so I'm not going to look up the overtime rules quite yet. But there is 0 seconds left on the clock.
Oh boy.
And there's a hammer, or a blade, just a blade, by Ito. So, San Francisco gets the only break of the second half. And that means that they win. That was a wild game to watch. And that was just, I think, an incredible show of patience by the Falcons. I think they maintained a very strong level the entire game. While I made a comment on kind of a lack of energy, I think I'm going to retract my words and say it was more just of maintaining the same level the entire game. It didn't seem like they had too many high highs, but that also meant that they didn't have too many low lows. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, that might just be the level that they play at. They just want to be cruising and chill, and their handlers demonstrated that all game long with very few deep looks and a lot of patient swinging and really being comfortable taking negative yardage to keep their plays alive.
Yeah, they also, I don't think, really got stalled out. So they were still moving the disc throughout the game.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Colorado kind of fell apart in just the last 2.5 minutes of the game. And without their defense to convert break opportunities, the O-line had no margin for mistakes.
And so, we're going to go through the Discraft play of the game. Discraft is a sponsor of the WUL League. And this is the game-winning goal, Chang to Mims. Chang has been throwing that high-release lefty backhand the entire game, and it definitely paid off. I think Chang was definitely one of the better players of the game. We will see you at 2 p.m. Mountain Time for the Utah Wild versus the LA Astra. So, any other comments, Alex? What should we look forward to in that game?
I expect another tight game. I mean, the WL has really demonstrated very exciting games across the entire season. This afternoon, with the Utah Wild and the LA Astra, I expect to see some high-flying plays from number 22 on the Utah Wild, Kira Koruzhnikova, who's back from a hand injury. And from what I understand, the LA Astra have been flying all over the place all season long.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to point out that the Wild just beat Astra last night by 1 point, which is also important for point difference. The Colorado beat San Francisco yesterday by 3 or 4 points. And so this is going to be a very tight game. San Francisco and LA also have gone 1-1, so these games are going to be tight. So we're going to have an in-game interview, and so we're going to send it down to Jules.
Right, I am here with Falcons head coach Manisha Slapdaryani. Manisha, first off, congratulations on your win. How are you feeling?
I think I can't decide if I was going to throw up or just celebrate with this team. I mean, it was such an incredibly intense game. Truly, that was the break to win the game, and that took 4 quarters. It took 48 minutes to get the break, and the pressure was building and building and building, and people could feel it here. I hope you at home could feel it. It was an exciting game.
Yeah, how was that second half compared to the first half? It seemed like both teams were tightening up really tight on defense.
I mean, again, both teams got 1 break in the first quarter. After that, there was not a single break, and so you could see in the second half, both teams understood. You had to get the break. You had to get the break. I was very fortunate that our team ended up with the break. We gave them a lot of chances for that break as well. Credit our offense's defense for making sure that didn't happen, and our D-line just understood. Just keep grinding, it'll come, and it came at 2 seconds.
Yeah. Who are the players on your team that really stepped up for you today?
I mean, I think it really is the D-line that stepped up. But that said, I can't understate our O-line, even though they weren't clean, did not allow a break in that second half. So it's really hard for me to say. This truly, in my opinion, was a very much a team win, and that is the type of team I wanted, and I'm so excited to see that. I'm excited that you all got to see it at home, and I'm excited to travel home knowing that we split this weekend, and we're going to see how LA does against Utah, because that'll really start to shake out the standings in the Southwest.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. We wish you all the best coming up. Any final words?
I hope you had a great time watching at home. Stay tuned for the next game. It's Utah Wild versus LA Astra.
All right, thank you so much.
So that was Jules Williams interviewing Manisha Slapdaryani, the coach of the Falcons. So here are our updated standings. So we have Astra, who is about to play at the bottom of the Southwest. This is a must-win game, but it's also a must-win game for the Wild. Their next the next 4 games are going to be doubleheaders against Tempest and Onyx, which are 2 high intensity teams. As you can see, Tempest has a plus 23 on their point differential. So to get to championship weekend, it is the top 2 teams. The first determiner is win-loss record, but then the second one is point differential. So every point matters in this game. And so we have just a highly contested championship weekend still going on. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from this game.